From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. First, the headlines. Israel enforcing apartheid system on Palestinian, Amnesty reports. Over 4 million in U.S. quit their jobs in December. Activists decry headscarf ban in Indian state. Islamophobic attacks continue across France. Taliban to reopen some public universities in Afghanistan on February the 2nd. And our top story tonight. Amnesty International on Tuesday called for holding Israel accountable for committing apartheid against Palestinians in the occupied territories. At a news conference, Amnesty released the findings of a comprehensive report about Israeli apartheid practices in the region. It documents massive seizures of Palestinian land and property, unlawful killings, forcible transfer, drastic movement restrictions, and denial of nationality and citizenship. The London-based rights group said Israel enforced a system of oppression and domination against the Palestinian people under its jurisdiction. This systematic abuse applies to Palestinians living in Israel as well as those in the Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem, the group said. Human Rights Watch and Bet Shalom both already consider Israel an apartheid state. Here is a recent Muslim news report on Jewish settlers destroying Palestinian farms.
Both the United States and the United Nations considers Jewish settlements in occupied Palestine illegal. But American Zionists fund them and the Israeli government protects them. There are 675,481 Jewish settlers, and expanding by the day. Jewish settlers are free, Palestinians are not. All Jewish settlers have guns. They are on a daily mission to make Palestinian lives impossible. They routinely beat Palestinians and steal their homes and land like Yaqub.
You are stealing my house!
And if I don't steal it, someone else is going to steal it.
Here is a Jewish settler forcing his sheep into Palestinian fields. This is a common technique used to expand their control into Palestinian property. These herds of the Jewish settlers not only destroy Palestinian farms, but their olive trees and apricot orchids. Hosam Aid, the Palestinian farmer, claims that settlers took 38 acres of his land. Another Palestinian, farmer Rabhi Jeffrey, said that these shepherds are a part of Jewish settlement plans.
They give damages to all types of trees, especially olive trees. He is committing sabotage. Israeli settlers have been preventing the entry of Palestinians to this region by claiming that the region belongs to them.
This is a story of settlers' expansion into occupied Palestine. That is how occupied Palestine now looks like Swiss cheese. There are 164 Israeli-approved settlements. There are also 116 other settlements that even Israel does not formally recognize. But Israel supports them all.
A special segment is coming up later tonight in our show. Keep watching Muslim News. Israeli forces detained 35 Palestinians in overnight raids across the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, sources said on Tuesday. 20 Palestinians were detained in Ramallah's Al-Amrai camp, while another 8 were detained in Bethlehem in the southern West Bank. The Israeli army has not released any information on the arrests. Israeli soldiers often raid West Bank cities and towns, arresting Palestinians under the pretext that they are wanted by Israeli forces. Palestinian NGOs estimate that there are over 4,000 Palestinian detainees in Israeli jails, including at least 160 children and 34 women. Police in Israel on Tuesday admitted using the Pegasus spyware to monitor phones of Israeli citizens. They said they found evidence of the unauthorized use of the sophisticated spyware by its own investigators on Israelis' phones. The statement was released during a secondary investigation uncovering additional findings. Pegasus, developed by the Israeli NSO group, has been embroiled in scandal. A global media investigation last year revealed that it was being used to spy on heads of state, dissidents, activists, and others by a number of governments worldwide. This, according to the media organizations that conducted the investigation, enabled human rights violations around the world on a massive scale. On Tuesday, outgoing Israeli Attorney General Avichai Mendebelit ordered police to take immediate steps to prevent unauthorized use and halt any spying activities in the future. He also announced the formation of an inquiry team to look into the reports of surveillance. On January 18th, the Israeli Kalkalas News and Business website reported that Israeli police used Pegasus against Israeli citizens without court authorization. Over 4 million people in the United States quit their jobs in December, according to figures released Tuesday by the United States Department of Labor. That represents a decline of 200,000 from November, data shows. Job openings rose slightly by 150,000 to reach 10.9 million in December, up from 10.7 million in November. The market expectation was for 10.3 million jobs to open up. In December, the number of hires decreased to 6.3 million. The survey measures job vacancies by collecting data from employers about employment, job openings, hirings, and separations. U.S. federal prisons were under lockdown on Tuesday after 2 inmates were killed during a fight at a Texas prison. In a statement to Anadolu Agency, the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, or BOP, said it is securing its facilities in an abundance of caution and as a temporary measure to ensure order. Multiple inmates were involved in a fight at the Beaumont prison in Texas. 2 prisoners, Guillermo Rojas and Andrew Pineda, died from their injuries. 4 others were transported to a hospital. The BOP said Monday the FBI has been notified and no staff member or other inmate were injured. It also said that at no time was the public in danger. The United States National Archives on Monday issued a rare statement confirming that the White House turned over records, including paper documents previously ripped up by former President Donald Trump. White House records management officials during the Trump administration recovered and taped together some of the torn up records, the archives noted. The documents were turned over to the National Archives at the end of the Trump administration's term in office. The Washington Post reported some of the 700 pages of documents provided to the House Select Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol attack had been ripped up and taped back together. Former President Trump had sought to block the release of the records. Women from 150 countries celebrated and observed the 10th World HIJAB Day on Tuesday. The Michigan Senate passed a resolution last Friday recognizing the day statewide. The state is home to an estimated 300,000 Muslims. State Senator Stephanie Chang introduced the resolution to the House. She worked with Asian Pacific Islander American Vote MI's Executive Director Rabika Islam, as well as the Muslim community members. World HIJAB Day is an invitation to women from all walks of life to wear hijab and show solidarity with Muslim women, Chang said. World HIJAB Day organizer, founder, and CEO Nazma Khan said she created the observance to educate people about hijab, a head covering worn by Muslim women to express their faith. Naheem Pettiford robbed 2 people at gunpoint after he was unable to get into the donation box at a Jersey City mosque on January the 20th, according to police. Pettiford was taken into custody by Jersey City police on January 26th in Newark. Police searched his car and found more than 300 bags of heroin, a handgun, and ammunition. They also recovered 2 of the credit cards that he's accused of stealing from the men at the mosque. Hudson County Superior Court Judge Paul DePascal on Tuesday ordered Pettiford held through his prosecution. According to the criminal complaint, Pettiford stole a wallet containing about 8 to 10 credit or debit cards, $1,400 in cash, an iPhone, and a set of keys. He also stole $100 in cash and purchased about $250 in merchandise with the stolen credit cards. The complaint reads. Bringing news stories around the globe after this short break. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back after these messages.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
I am what hunger looks like in America. I am an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for the last day of school. Because this may be the last time I'll have lunch.
Till September.
I am a single father of 2 who works 3 part-time jobs, and that's still not enough to put food on the table. I was created by artificial intelligence from faces of the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger.
Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
For several weeks, a group of Muslim women at a college in India's southern state of Karnataka have been barred from attending classes while wearing headscarves. Activists and experts said that barring students from wearing hijab is an attack on symbols of faith. The move comes as students marked the Global World Hijab Day on Tuesday. Fawaz Shaheen, National Secretary of the Students' Islamic Organization of India, told Anadolu agency that institutions that ban them from wearing hijab are doing an unconstitutional act. The move to ban hijab is not sudden but has been ongoing and is connected to the otherization of Muslims, the group noted. Islamophobic attacks continue across France with 2 separate incidents reported last week. A Muslim butcher and a grocery store selling halal products in the southern province of Lot-et-Garonne were targeted on Sunday. Arsonists set the store in the town of Bouankut on fire and drew 2 swastikas on the wall. The town's fire brigade reported the store was destroyed, but no one was harmed. The public prosecutor is investigating the attack. In the second incident in the southwest province of Toulouse, a pig head and skin were found left in front of an Islamic community center. Muslim community leader Abdul Latif Malouki called attention to rising Islamophobic attacks across France. Greece's Turkish community on Tuesday condemned a provocative Islamophobic poster placed near a mosque in the northern part of the country. According to media reports, the poster read, "Islamization of Evros region should be stopped now." It was placed near the historic Shalabi Sultan Muhammad Mosque near the Turkish-Greek border. The Friendship, Equality and Peace Party, popular with the Turkish minority community, said that the incident is an indicator of existing fascist tendencies in Evros. Greece's Western Thrace region, which includes Evros, is home to about 150,000 Turkish Muslims. Protesters in Burma closed businesses and stayed off the streets in a nationwide silent strike against military rule on Tuesday. February 1st marked 1 year since the military coup in the country that deposed the Southeast Asian country's democratically elected government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. The Taliban acting minister for higher education announced Monday that some public universities in Afghanistan will reopen today. Sheikh Abdul Baqi Al-Haqqani said in a news release that state universities in warmer regions of the country will resume classes, while those in colder regions will reopen February 26th. Haqqani said exams will be held 3 weeks after the start of classes. According to Ministry of Higher Education, there are 40 public and 150 private universities nationwide. Classes have been continuing at private universities. At a September news conference, Haqqani argued that the co-educational system is against Islamic and national values. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis segment, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Friends, our world is pulling together like never before. We're making huge sacrifices to keep one another safe. Scientists are working non-stop to develop COVID-19 vaccines and treatments. A vaccine will get our economies moving. It will tell our loved ones we're safe again. But we have challenges we must address. Right now, huge pharmaceutical companies are keeping the vaccine research a secret. They're deciding how many vaccines get made, how much to charge for them, and who gets vaccinated. This will no doubt leave billions of people behind. Pharma companies are putting profit, not people, first. Yet, billions of dollars of taxpayers' money is funding their work. We cannot let the CEOs of a handful of pharmaceutical companies decide our future. We need a vaccine that everyone can have free of charge, no matter where you live or whether you're rich or you're poor. We need companies to share all their research so we can make enough safe vaccines for everyone. We need a vaccine owned by all of us. To end this COVID-19 pandemic, we need to pull together once more.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. Earlier tonight, we shared the findings of a recent report by Amnesty International. Here is the Secretary General of Amnesty International, Agnes Callamard, sharing the findings of the report during the press conference.
Amnesty International is here today to call on the authorities of Israel to put an end to the system of apartheid it is maintaining against all Palestinian living under their effective control, whether in Israel itself, in the OPT, or as refugees in other countries. We are here today to call on the international community to take resolute action against the crime of humanity being perpetrated in order to maintain the system of apartheid. Direct engagement for 4 years with the best legal scholars on apartheid, and we build on the work of Palestinian, Israeli, and international organizations. Our conclusions may shock and disturb, and they should. Some within the government of Israel may seek to deflect from them by falsely accusing Amnesty of attempting to destabilize Israel, or being anti-Semitic, or unfairly singling out Israel. But I am here today to say that baseless attacks, barefaced lies, fabrication on the messenger will not silence the message and an organization of 10 million members the world over. Amnesty International recognizes, and has said so repeatedly, recognize the right of the Jewish people to self-determination. We recognize the state of Israel. We oppose, denounce anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic acts the world over. But we defend our right and the right of anyone else to critique impartially and against international human rights law Israel's treatment of the Palestinian. That, dear friends, is not anti-Semitism. Let me be clear. Such accusations, whether issued by the Israel authorities or their supporters, are nothing more than a desperate attempt to evade scrutiny, divert attention from our findings, that the human rights abuses to which the Palestinian people are subjected amount to apartheid, a finding, by the way, that we have made before and elsewhere. In Myanmar, we are not singling out the state of Israel. But the substance of our assessment must be confronted. Discrimination, inequality enshrined in a maze of laws, regulations, policies, forcible transfers, administrative detention, torture, and so on. Each violation on its own is a travesty, but their true gravity becomes apparent only when taken together. It is then that the depth and extent of this system of oppression is revealed to be what it is: a system of apartheid and crimes against humanity. I have worked for the past 25 years in the field of human rights, and some of you may know my work before I joined Amnesty. I have covered, researched, visited many countries, investigated many different situations in many different settings.
Now let's take a look at what Palestinians have to say about this recent report.
This is a very important report because it establishes the basis for demanding sanctions and divestments and boycott of this Israeli apartheid system. More than that, the report says that any country in the world that provides aid to Israel in the form of military aid is participating in a crime against humanity, and that is very important. The Amnesty report is very important because it indicates that Israel is committing two crimes against the Palestinian people. One is a crime of oppression, and the other one is a crime of the system of racial discrimination and apartheid. It also indicates that this system of apartheid is oppressing Palestinians not only in the occupied territories, but in 1948 areas in Israel itself.
نرحب إحنا الفلسطينيين بقرار إعلان منظمة العفو الدولية أن إسرائيل دولة فصل عنصري، وهذا القرار لصالح الفلسطينيين.
احنا طبعا بنرحب بهذا القرار وبنعتبره انتصار للشعب الفلسطيني اللي بيدين جرائم الاحتلال، لانه احنا بنشوف قديش اسرائيل يعني بتقوم بتصدير الاراضي الفلسطينيه وهي.
احنا نرحب بصدور هذا التقرير، له مغزى مهم ان يصدر مثل هذا التقرير عن منظمة العفو الدولية، وهي من اكبر منظمات حقوق الانسان على مستوى العالم. نأمل أن هذا التقرير يضع القضية الفلسطينية على مسار مثل مسار جنوب أفريقيا الذي أدى في النهاية إلى إنهاء نظام الفصل العنصري في جنوب أفريقيا. على المدى القصير لا أعتقد، بالعكس يعني إسرائيل الآن تتعامل بعدوانية مع التقرير وهو متوقع، لكن هو على المدى البعيد يزيد في موضوع المناصرة الدولية ضد الاحتلال وممارساته العنصرية، وأيضا يعني هو يخلق رأي عام دولي يتبنى فكرة أن إسرائيل هي دولة نظام فصل عنصري أبارتهايد.
That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube or Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network News or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.